Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to go over my 37-week update. I'm sorry it's late. I have a very good reason that I'll explain in this video. Keep watching, like, and subscribe so you can help a mama out. If you're new to my channel, I am a mom of 2 boys, a 4-year-old, a 1-year-old, and now a newborn. So on my 37-week checkup, the night before, I started leaking fluid, and I wasn't concerned because it wasn't what I had experienced was my water. Before, when it was my water, it was coming down. There was no question, oh, did my water break? And I mean, there was no question. So with this time, it was leaking, but it wasn't like it was constant, but it wasn't a gush down my leg. It didn't keep going down my leg. It wasn't a lot, I guess is the best way to put it. But it was consistent. And I didn't think anything of it because I had felt pain, but it wasn't like they talk about contractions where you can't breathe through them. It wasn't like that. It was pains, but I could stand them. And I knew I had an appointment in the morning. So my appointment was at 10 o'clock. The fluid started leaking around like 5 a.m. It'd be like 4 to 5 a.m. And it kind of started like I went to the bathroom and then there was fluid. Didn't smell. It didn't have a color, nothing like that. So I was just like, oh, well, maybe it's my mucus plug. So I waited for my appointment at 10 o'clock. I put pads on. And it didn't like fill a pad too soon. It wasn't anything crazy, but it was consistent, like I said. So I went into the doctor. He checked me and he told me that my water was still intact. It wasn't my water, but that I was 3 centimeters. So of course he gives you the things to look out for and go to the hospital immediately. He basically told me that don't wait. If I felt like I was having contractions, to go. Don't hesitate. Don't try to wait for my water to break, because I was under the impression that you wait till your water breaks unless the contractions are like every 2 minutes or whatever. That he told me that wasn't the case. He said your water can break at 9 centimeters and then you'll be having the baby in the car on the way to the hospital. So he just basically told me, like, don't wait. Just go if you think that it's contractions. So, I guess he really didn't even say anything about the fluid. And he just said it wasn't my water. And, as I went home, I just didn't feel, like, satisfied, I guess. But I kept an eye on the contractions and, kind of, like, just told my husband and my mom, like, I feel like something might be happening. I'm just going to listen to the doctor and go. So I got my hospital bag, got everything that I needed in case it was the baby. And I went in there. They checked me. Nobody thought first that it was my water because I just went to the doctor. So they checked me. I was 3 centimeters. And then they went and they wrapped me on the contraction machine. They wrap these 2 bands around your belly. One listens to the heart rate. One does the contractions. I was not having constant contractions. I was having some, but they weren't regular, and I wasn't dilated anymore. So they said if it wasn't my water, they were going to send me home. And at the time, they didn't believe it was the water. They just, I don't even know how to explain it. They were just kind of like nonchalant about it because I went to the doctor, basically. Anyways, they did the little test. They do like a swab test. I had a midwife. She goes in there and she swabs, and she tells me it is in fact my water. And they were going to admit me, start Pitocin, because I was not contracting regularly, and they were scared for infection because I had told them the time period for 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. is when I noticed the water or the fluid coming out. So they said that's a significant time in between and we needed to get this thing going. So, call my husband, get him ready to come. He was at home watching the two boys until my mother came, until we knew this thing was real, because I didn't want to, like, get everybody in a fizzy if it wasn't anything, Anyway, so I go, they get me ready, they get me in the room upstairs, because this is the OBCC. This is basically like the baby emergency room, so that you don't have to wait in the regular emergency room. They get me ready. They brought me upstairs. I was there for like an hour before they started the Pitocin. She put me on the machine again and she let me walk around. And every time I would stand up, I would start having a contraction. I wasn't positive if it was contraction. You would think it's my third baby, like I would know, but I really didn't. I didn't know. I didn't want to like have a false alarm, but I knew it hurt. But it wasn't like they say online, like you can breathe through it. It was, so I wasn't sure if it was Braxton Hicks or what. Regardless, she started looking at the machine and realizing I am having these contractions. Downstairs, it must have been because they had me laying on the bed, because every time I would stand up, I would have regular contractions. Since the doctor and the midwife were concerned of infection, the nurse still put me on the Pitocin. But when she put me on that Pitocin, it went from 0 to 100 real quick. The fastest labor, I think I was like 3 hours and this baby was out. They didn't want to keep checking me, like checking my cervix, because they were scared of infection. So they said, we're going to check you as least amount as we can. They're supposed to check you before you get the epidural. So in my case, I'm standing up, having regular contractions. They put the Pitocin on me after an hour, after I had already been having regular contractions. And so I'm talking about, it was like not even 30 minutes and I can't breathe. It was those contractions where you cannot breathe. It was very painful and it just came out of nowhere, and they weren't going to check me. And I was having pressure down below every single time. So that I just finally just said, I can't wait for my husband to come anymore. It had only been an hour. That's the thing. It was not a long period at all. It was like an hour from the time she started this Pitocin to, I'm signing paperwork and everything like that. I don't even know. It wasn't even the Pitocin first. I had that wrong just now. They started me on fluids first, because they hydrate your body, I guess, before they do the Pitocin. So she had me on fluids before she started the Pitocin. So basically, like, if this was all within, like, an hour period, I don't even know, like, hour and a half, I guess from the time that I went from downstairs to upstairs and all of the Pitocin kicking in to where I needed the epidural, it might have been, like, an hour and a half, because it really wasn't long. After the Pitocin kicked in, that was about 30 minutes of me trying to hold out and say, like, I'm waiting for my husband to get this epidural, because last time I had a panic attack, and the only thing that kept me, like, calm enough to not move during this epidural was my husband. Like, seeing him, he was like, they wouldn't let him by me in this hospital. My first son, they let him hold me, and that was the only reason I made it through. I'm not scared of needles. It's just the whole thought process of, if you move, you're gonna have, be paralyzed or whatever. They tell you these crazy things. So, I'm in the middle of a contraction, and I just finally say, like, get this lady in here. I can't wait for him any longer. I've been texting him in between contractions. They were so frequent that it was literally like every minute they were coming. So I just basically was like, get this thing started. I knew it was going to take a little while for this lady to come and get everything ready and do everything that she had to do before she actually put it in me. So I just like told them to get it started. The lady comes in, she's like about to do it, and my husband's there, like right when she had just finished preparing everything and was like, okay, are you ready to do this? So he got there. Barely, but it was just funny because it happened so fast. He felt bad, but it was just like, I mean, he couldn't, I didn't even know it was going to be like this. It was so fast. So anyways, so she's about to give me the epidural, and I'm just sitting there like, I don't know if I can do this. This lady's like, I think you're having this baby. I think it's too late to get the anesthesia lady, like, is saying this to the nurse because they didn't check me before. So they don't know how far along I am. Had already been on the Pitocin, had already been having regular contractions, and they still didn't check me to see how I was dilated because they didn't want me to get an infection. They were going to check me as least as possible. So, this is just the way it worked out. It was crazy. But so the lady's like, she was saying, I don't know if you could get this because I feel like you're about to have this baby. And I just told her, I was like, you have to give me this epidural, like, period. Give me this epidural. And she said, you cannot move your hands back. So she had me crunched over holding a pillow. And just said, you can't move. Like, you can't move or you're not going to get this. So I just kept praying. I was like, God, please don't give me a contraction right now. And sure enough, I didn't have a contraction. She gave it to me. I was good to go. Next thing you know, I started to feel it, and I'm real like, I didn't remember this last time because I guess I got it earlier on. I got the epidural earlier on, but I just remember feeling like so loopy. I could barely like talk. It was like felt funny to talk. I was just kind of like lightheaded, like not lightheaded like dizzy, but just out of it. I was just out of it, and I had just gotten it. So I slowly, like, I still feel the contractions, but I don't feel them that hard, but I still felt pressure down below. And even when I stopped feeling the contractions, I still felt pressure down below. And I was like, listen, now I don't feel this in my stomach, but I feel something down there. I don't think this is right. And then the nurse was like, okay, we'll get the midwife in here if you feel pressure down there. She comes in, checks me. I'm 9 centimeters, and my cervix is like pretty much not there. She said, I feel the baby's head, and you're about to push. Like that. It was crazy. My husband's like not even in there 30 minutes, and we're like about to have this baby. It was not even 30 minutes. It had to been 20 at the very most of this whole thing happening for him to be in there. So she tells me, okay, you're going to push. I'm like, I'm not ready to push. I kept telling him I'm not ready to push. I just had this epidural. Like, I feel out of it. I don't feel like I have the energy right now. Like, I just didn't feel like I could do it. Well, she tells me, I feel the head, you need to push. So they tell me when I'm having a contraction, I push. The baby's head comes out. Sorry. Then they tell me to push again, and the body comes out, the whole body, in 2 pushes. And me and my husband are just like in shock. Like, obviously, these are tears of joy because the feeling that you get as a parent when you see your baby come out. Sorry. Sorry. The feeling that you get when you see your baby come out is amazing. It's just amazing. You know, there's like not words that can explain it, but anyways, that's the story with that. He was 6'6" and 20 inches. He's definitely smaller than my others, and he came at 37 in one day, and I will show you guys him. His name is Jensen Alexander. Baby Jensen. I will do a video about, I guess kind of what happened after. There was different things that happened, and I feel like it will be helpful to at least somebody, and I want to tell my story. So y'all be looking out for that. Give me some time, please, because it's been crazy with the two toddlers, I guess, really. The 4-year-old, the 1-year-old, and now the newborn. And trying to get, really, the 1-year-old, Jonah, trying to get him used to the baby because he's still in that rough stage, you know, like he doesn't know how to be gentle. So we've been working on that, and we've been very busy. But I will get that out to y'all. And thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Thank you.